done talking about it. A spark turns into fire, and we're not sorry about it. If you're not sleeping tight, you know we're onto something. You hear the streets are crying, ocean turns into fighting. Take it to the streets, hit control of the lead. Take it to the streets, hit control of the lead. Warning's been spread wide, you can't do none to stop it. Posing is bona fides, but you're only causing riots. Words move from mouth to mouth. Justice is also troubling, all the way from north to south. It's been a long time coming. Take it to the streets, hit control of the lead. Take it to the streets, hit control of the Take it to the streets, hit control of the lead. Take it to the streets, hit control of the lead.
Welcome everybody to Lunch Therapy. This is your show to take a break from the crap. Sometimes we will talk about news, sometimes we will talk about politics, and those times are pretty much never. So this is your escape from all that crap that's going on, that infuriating stuff, whatever infuriates you out there. This is the time to take a break, maybe rejuvenate, breathe, commune with your friends and fellow human beings. There's a lot of humans being. Feel free to make a chat. Drop a chat in the chat room. And we're going to be having a great guest today. Today's Interview Friday. Interview Friday on this show, we bring on interesting people to talk about how they keep their mind right, how they keep their creative flow, what's it like to be them. Usually we try and catch people on the rise. Today we've got a fantastic comedian from Philadelphia. His name is Jay Yoder, and he and I have not met. I've just seen him online. He knows Just Jay Patterson, another comedian that's been on the show, so it's going to be really interesting to hear about him. He's also a middle school teacher and a parent. So let's get into this thing called Lunch Therapy, Interview Friday. I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. I'm gonna get myself a modem. All right, Blas, there you are. Did you know you were going to be right here, right now, on the show? 'Cause you seem to be frozen.
I didn't actually. I was just about to blow my nose, so I'm glad I
think you're frozen, dude. What's going on with it? I don't know what's
do
happening.
that.
I thought you were just faking it. You know, how
Am I?
sometimes when I have a guest on the show,
What?
you know how they do, like, they fake freeze, or maybe when they come on,
Right.
they have like virtual reality goggles on. Like, remember we had Brian Holtzman on the show, and he had virtual reality goggles on. And then we had
I have a pair of those.
we had the great writer Jack Grapes, and he came on and had these crazy, weird, googly glasses. And then sometimes people pretend to freeze. So,
I'm like,
you know, we have a lot of there you go. I don't know whether you're kidding or not. I don't think you are.
what is
Maybe
this?
you should go out and come back in. You're stressing me out, bro.
Is this- What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Is it rich?
Go out, come back in. I'm gonna start the
How about
breathing.
now? Wait.
Oh,
Watch
wait.
this. Watch this. How about now? Any
Watch
glitch now?
this. What are you doing? Like running some extra cables? I don't know. Anyway, let's do this thing.
I was running the Instagram.
Yeah.
I closed it and I was gonna go back to
Oh,
it.
okay.
Once
Instagram.
Jay comes on.
All right, let's do this thing. Let's breathe.
Am I
Top of
glitchy
the
right
show.
now? Am I glitchy right now?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, good. Let's breathe.
All right. So in through the nose. I'm gonna do this thing that I did last time, which was very popular. And that was to just breathe and allow people to do the in through the nose in their mind. Blas moves between time and space, says Guignol. Good to see you, Guignol. All right, here we go. Moving through time and space. Let it go. Feel free to move while you breathe. Breathing and moving, big pluses in life. Because what is life without breathing and moving? I don't know. In through the nose, out through the toes. Let it go. So last night, I was working on the show. It was like 2:00 in the morning, and I hear this boom, 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 and I'm like, what is that? Boom, 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 and I'm thinking maybe someone's hammering next door or something, because there's been a lot of noise next door, people hammering and throwing things around, sometimes at night even. Like the other night, it sounded like somebody was throwing dead bodies around next door, and I know the
Because
sound
you're
of dead
familiar
bodies.
with the sound of dead bodies.
Right, hitting the floor, of course. I used to be a Foley expert. You know what Foley is?
Yes, the sound effects
Sound effects.
artist.
I could really make a mean body hitting the floor. I never was a Foley person. I want to make that absolutely clear, and I also want to make it clear
No,
that birds
you've
are not real.
directed
What?
films. You've made your
I
own
have
movies.
done Foley
You've done
on
your
my own
Foley
things. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a
Yeah,
complete
yeah.
lie. It's not a complete lie. So back to the story. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, what is that? And I suddenly realized the water's on somewhere. That's like the sound of the water moving through the pipes under the house.
Oh.
Right?
Go,
So
go,
I think the pool guy was here, so I think maybe he left the pool on. Pool, like, was filling the pool or something, which is a horrendous thing, because I've done that before, and you just leave it on. And
But it's
you
2
know.
in the morning, so it's like water's flowing.
Well, I'm like, well, maybe it's been on for a long time.
Oh man.
So I go running out. I had to find a flashlight. Couldn't find a flashlight. Couldn't find my phone. Couldn't find anything. Had to just run through the dark. You know, fight
This
off
is like
few
a-
raccoons and coyotes.
Like a story out of Friday the 13th or something. Come
It's
on.
like Rudyard Kipling is what it's like. You know, it's a
You got a
lot like
jungle
one of
back
those
there.
stories. Yep. And I went all the way down to where the pool was, and I hear this.
Ooh.
And damned if a pipe had not burst down there. The pipe that goes to the hose. And I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm trying in the dark, fumbling around. And anyone out there knows that anybody that watches this show knows that I am not a handyman. There's nothing handy about this man.
Oh,
he's got hands.
This is true.
He's got hands.
But they're not handy.
They're very delicate. They're very, very delicate
Very
hands. They're just used
unhandy.
for typing and massage. Magic hands, I think, is the way they said it in Heart.
And they're very soft. They're supple.
Yeah, they're very supple, right? So I'm out there trying to use these mitts to turn this thing off. I'm trying to block it with my hands, trying to do everything I can. And finally, so then I'm thinking, how does plumbing work? You know, there must be a way to turn it off. This is the kind of life that I'm living. How does it work?
You're thinking, how does...
Yeah. But I gotta stop it because I can't. There's no one who can help me. Sometimes in life, there's no one who can help you.
You got to just step up.
And now you got to step up. So what I did, I started digging on that pipe that's by there. And I found this little lever. There's like a lever there. I'm thinking it's like I'm thinking in my mind, shut-off valve. I don't know where I learned that, but I'm thinking it's a shut-off valve of some sort.
I like it.
And
I like it. Like
it's
the theory.
buried deep in the earth. And I'm excavating like a little, like a rodent. And finally I find that handle and I turn it and it stopped.
Yeah, all right. I like it.
I mean, I'm not flexing or anything, but you know, it's pretty. It's a kind of a major move forward, right? Like it's totally stopped.
Could have been an hour and a half of just horribleness.
And I want to give myself kudos for hearing the sound, doom, 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 figuring out what it was, going down there and finding it, and then learning about plumbing. In like no time at all.
Shutting it down, dude. Shutting it down.
It was a big,
You know what I'm saying?
big win
Doing that
for
man
me.
thing, dude.
Yeah,
Doing
I
that
was feeling
man
like a
thing.
man. I was feeling a man. Guinel says, "Oh, your neighbor's remodeling again." Yeah, with the dead bodies. Happy Friday, Hoipy Friday. Yeah.
Imagine if you didn't hear the
Very
dumping, the water noise. You could have been sleeping,
I know.
and that thing would have just been flooded for hours until you got up.
Oh, I know. Imagine if I would have just said, "Well, I'm gonna go to sleep," and then I would own the water company. Holy.
Real quick,
Yeah.
right next door, my neighbor,
Yeah.
his main water line from the sidewalk to the house,
Yeah.
destroyed by roots. Like just roots pummeled into it, cracked it like that. They showed the camera. They looked in the camera, and it was all crooked like this, and roots are going through it. Complete damage, dude. He's got to replace his entire main water line to his house.
Oh, I feel so bad for him.
Digging up his lawn and his pavement.
You got to give me some address to send flowers for that one. That's sad.
Dude, we got to send him more than flowers. Dude, it's like 18 G's. Dude.
Oh my God. Guinel says, clearly you're not a golfer. Clearly.
Well,
Hoy, Twitchers. Camila Lopez is in the Twitch room. By the way, you can see us on Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I'm going to get myself a modem. I don't know what else. Ralph's. You can see us at Ralph's on those little screens.
Those little
in the
shop
checkout
cart
screens.
monitors.
Checkout screen. Or at the gas, gas pump? The little
Yeah,
screen.
the little monitor on the
We're
gas
there.
pump. You could
We're there.
punch in
Yeah.
live, lunch therapy live.
You can't really chat, but
No.
it's cool.
But you could catch a show.
Anyway, we got Jay in the green room. This is the symbol. This is supposed to be the symbol. No, what is it called? You know, in baseball where they make the gestures.
The signs. There's signs.
This is
The
a
sign.
secret sign that Jay was in the green room.
Still third.
But he's in the green room. We don't need secret signs because this is a very transparent show, as many people know.
So excited to have Jay.
I am so excited too. And he, he
Jay Yoder.
doesn't know what he's in for. He has no idea what he's in for.
Oh,
Hoipy.
he knows.
What are the rules? What are the rules of lunch therapy so that he knows? Because we didn't get a chance
The
to
rules
prep him.
are, first of all, have fun.
Have fun.
Feel free to talk about what you want to talk about.
Talk about anything.
You see the comments popping up on the screen right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are our hummingbirds. That's our interactive group of washers around the world.
Yeah.
So feel free to comment. If the comment pops up and you read one, you want to say something, you want to get interactive with them, they'd love to get engaged with you. They might ask you a question. You might have to get in there and middle
They
of your
might
story,
distract you.
jam it in there.
Yeah. All right. The other thing is,
and
What?
Make sure you listen.
That's right. Matt
Because
Wright,
Joel
here's some business
has
here.
been
Matt
known-
Wright says, oh, wait, I've been known what?
To stutter.
I'm good. I used to have a lisp when I was a kid. I was a
did you
proud
really?
lisper. Yeah. Love
No.
it.
I
Yeah.
can't believe it.
I know. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's cool to have a lisp, actually. There's a lot of cool people
Well, it's
out
cool to
there.
get over it. I think that's
It's cool to get over it. Cool to have
Good way
it.
to manage
It's
it.
all welcome
Manage
here
it.
on the show. Hey, Matt Wright says, you have 2.25 thousand subscribers. Yes, Matt, I'm very happy about that. And this is the time that we mention, what do we mention? We mention, please donate to the show. Join our Patreon, patreon.com/Joel Marshall. Or you can give in the chat, or you can,
And you could go on Twitch and watch us.
go on Twitch.
and
There's
get
little
there.
icons that you can press there. Anyway. And also, please subscribe.
Yeah.
Don't forget to breathe.
We normally don't do that because it sounds so.
We're supposed to
not
do that
interesting.
more. We're like,
We're supposed to do
subscribe, all that stuff. And look, we're halfway to 5K. Yeah. I don't know what happens at 5K, but it's going to be cool, man.
Oh, we're
All
gonna
right,
have a party.
enough of this. Enough of this crap. Let's get into it.
To the good
Because
stuff.
I don't want Jay to be like, screw this. This bony guy is giving me such a hard time. Oh, wait. Jay,
Oh, cool.
when you the greeting on the show is hoy, not hi, and the chat room is called hummingbirds. There you go. In case you don't know that stuff, now you do.
I told him that.
You did? That was part of your thing?
Yeah.
Was I not actively listening? Oh my god.
Did we? If you have some headphones.
Super
or anything,
sticker!
Also.
Look,
Jay.
we got a super sticker.
Oh, we got a super
$4.99
sticker.
from Just Jay, comedian,
$4.99.
fan, character, laughing out loud with
Just
tears in
Jay.
your eyes. Love that. Love that.
She's
Yeah,
a big
that's
fan of Jay's too.
highly
Jay
encouraged.
is a big fan of Jay's.
Jay is a big fan of Jay's. Yeah.
Just Jay's a big fan of Jay.
Jay's gonna have some fantastic comedy coming up. We were talking about it yesterday, and I can't say anything about it. I love it when Boney gives me a hard time. Yeah, I know you do. I know you do. All right, I'll see you later, Bloss.
Let's get Jay on.
We'll bring you back on.
Have a good time,
later.
guys.
All right, let's do this thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Lunch Therapy Interview Friday, and today we are lucky enough to have an up-and-coming comedian. This guy is on the rise. He's coming from Philadelphia, from a middle school in Philadelphia, and we're gonna find out like how the heck this happened, that he's suddenly this comedian that's just blowing up the world. We're gonna find out what it's like to be a comedian in Philadelphia. Also, he's been doing gigs in New York. He's been doing gigs around touring, I believe, even. So we're gonna say, like, how does this happen? How did you get into comedy? Why'd you get into after you were a teacher? And how does being a teacher help you be a comedian? All these things are gonna be asked. Jay Yoder will always have the grizzly pear. The grizzly pear. That must be a place where they performed
Or something you hold in your hand.
a grizzly pear. Wow. The other day we saw a monkey eating an orange. Maybe we can see a grizzly eating a pear.
With his hands, feet.
We can dream, right? With his hand and feet.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah. So I'm going to get out of the rain. We're getting this thing called Interview Friday. Here's the symbol for Jay. Is going to be on the show very soon.
Middle school is a cool age. They're honest to a fault, are they not? They are honest to a fault. I had a kid look me up and down in the hall. He's like, Mr. Yoder, you look like the kind of guy that keeps cold cuts in his car. I think it was a compliment. I'm likable, I'm lovable, I'm lunchable. Have you seen Lunchables? They've evolved, guys.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Jay Yoder. Oh, my
Boy.
gosh. Hoy. Great to see you. Thanks for being on the show.
I just wanted to mess with you. I'm so sorry.
You got me.
I was like, I'll give you the sign to steal third.
That's it. What do they call that? They call it a secret signal.
Signs.
They're
They're
just
just
signals.
signs. Oh, okay.
Signs.
Maybe
Right.
I was looking for
They're
a more
baseball signs.
elaborate word. Look, I'm trying to green
Yeah.
screen you out there.
Oh, I
now,
like
guys.
it. Thank you.
Cool,
This
right?
is great.
We're in this
Yeah,
cool club now.
I was actually a baseball coach for 18 years. So
That's what I understand. So what level were you coaching?
So I worked my way up from did middle school and Pee Wee and went all the way up to assistant varsity right the year COVID happened actually. So it's 18 years and and it's a pretty competitive area. We're in like the suburbs of Philadelphia and we had a team that was state runners up in 2009 and. So a lot of exciting, serious baseball, which is kind of cool. Now I coach my daughter's special needs baseball team, like Little League does, like a special needs baseball, and I've done that the past 5 years. And oh my God, one, it fills your heart, but two, it's so nice to not worry about signs and just like kids having fun and like all of that. Yeah, there's no signs; they just steal home every time they want, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. So. You seem like a person with a hell of a lot of energy. Have you always been energetic or what?
I was, you know what? My mom, God bless her, had me in like everything from when I was really young. So I'm just so used to doing a million things.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped. But yeah, even sometimes I look at my schedule and I'm like, how did I fit all of that into a day? You know, even today's an amazing day. I just got done with a work meeting. I'm actually, I teach at middle school. All day, 10 a.m. to 2:40. Then I'm also the director of operations for a comedy school in New York City that I do remotely.
Wait,
so
what comedy school?
It's the American Comedy Institute with Stephen Rosenfield.
Stephen Rosenfield, he's been on the show. Love him.
He's a huge mentor to me, and I'm happy to step into that role. He had
Michaela's been on the show.
Michaela, my God, I love
her.
Michaela. Oh my goodness, so I'm trying to fill her shoes, which are big shoes to fill for someone who's not as tall. But she's amazing. So so I've been doing that now. I'm just in my like 5th week of doing that. We're launching a new website, which is very exciting.
Cool.
And I'm here with you. I had perfect timing. I got my daughters getting off the bus after this, and I got a sold-out show at Helium tonight with Joe Dombrowski.
So tell us about Helium. What's that club like?
So Helium's actually what a comics club. Honestly, we were talking about this last night in the green room. Just a comics club. Like they treat you like gold from the minute you arrive. Really? They just so accommodating. Everything is just a class act. You don't think about anything but getting ready to perform and making sure everybody's going to have a good time.
And answering all your text messages of your friends going, where should I park?
Yeah, right. Oh, well, for Philly, I'll tell you what. I don't know what it's like out by you, but we have here. Helium is literally the basement of a parking garage. Like you can see the giant I-beams kind of
great.
Like it's got this
That's
cool
a big selling
vibe.
point. Yeah.
And it's like $20 flat rate. You pull right in, you hop in, you get right into the club. Easy peasy.
Oh, awesome.
Easy.
Helium.
So, and they
is
have
that in Philadelphia?
Is it
right
Center
in the city?
Sampson Ave, Center City. Yep, right in the hub.
What is the scene like there, the comedy scene in Philadelphia?
So really cool. I was actually just featured in the Philadelphia Inquirer a couple months ago as we talked about how like Philly kind of came together after COVID and how people were so inventive during COVID. That's actually when I started comedy at an outside like airplane hangar in a sand pit.
What is it called?
Soul Joel's.
Soul Joel's. I got some pictures of that because I was like, obviously my name is Joel.
That was the first stage I ever stepped on, and I actually host a late night show with another comedian out of Philly, Steve Rinaldi, and we just started doing a weekly late night show there. Yeah, I actually was his bodyguard That's night.
Andrew Dice Clay.
I was his bodyguard.
Really?
I was working for the club, and I was the guy to make sure nobody like got him into the SUV after, making sure nobody accosted him. And yep.
He's cool.
Yeah, he loved those shirts. He was like, he's like, it's Dice Beachwear. It's Dice Beachwear.
Oh my God! I know his son Max Silverstein, or at least we used to work together, like doing comedy in a hole here in Los Angeles. We used to do comedy together. But yeah, so he seems really cool. So are they getting a lot of big acts there at Soul Joel's as well?
So even now he's moved. So it's he still keeps the dome, and so in the summer he's got a new venue now, a beautiful ballroom called Sunnybrook that's been a staple in the greater Philadelphia area. Like my
Really?
grandparents, I just found out my grandparents used to like polka dance there, like back in the 50s
No
and
way.
60s. So like it's a beautifully preserved thing. He's got so many spaces. So he's not just doing comedy, but he could be running like, several events at once. Last week I did a comedy show in the one room and he had like 2 proms going on
Oh
simultaneously.
my
Like,
God, this guy's
but
like you. He's
it's
got so many
amazing.
things
Yeah,
going
he's
on.
a
Yeah.
hustler. It's amazing. It's cool because he's
Social.
got a large room. I think Jim Brewer came and they had like 1,000 people in the one room, and then he's got your traditional club style rooms that are holding your 200-300 people too. So yeah, it's really cool, and it's in my backyard because I'm not in Center City. I'm about 25 miles outside. So for me, it's really nice to have something 5 minutes from my house. And that's how it started. My wife and I, our last date.
Tell me this. How did it start? Like this is COVID, like right when COVID happened?
So this goes to, let's say, Valentine's Day 2019, back when the world was, nobody would know what COVID was yet.
Right.
And our last date out in public before all the nonsense was at his Inside Club, which was in a different area. And then when COVID happened, things went crazy. He kept doing his open mic nights outdoors, heat lamps, like with propane tanks attached, like nothing was going to stop comedy from happening. And there was an open mic night. We have my mom who lives with us. So we had somebody in our bubble and we said, hey, why don't we go out on Tuesday night, go sit out. We can social distance. We'll bring some lawn chairs and let's just get out and laugh for a little bit.
Yeah.
And we went every week and I just watched and I watched 40 comics. Yeah, there it is. I just watched 40 comics come up. It just got us out of the house for 2.5 hours. And then a couple weeks in, I looked at my wife and I just said, you know what? I think I could do that. And she said, prove it. And I did. Because I'll be honest with you, school, I love teaching. I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was in 6th grade, knew I was going to be a teacher, but I lit myself on fire to keep everybody warm during COVID. I was the one, because I knew so much about technology, that even though that wasn't my role, it became my role to help the Flintstones meet the Jetsons. Like that's essentially what I had to do. Because like somebody had to step up, and we had 3 new principals. It was crazy. So I needed something to get away. I needed therapy. I needed a lot of therapy. And
I don't know how you teachers did that at all. I don't know how you did that on Zoom, how you could keep people's attention, like these kids. I mean, like, we do like an hour. You're like doing all day with kids.
Yes.
It's just
I'll tell you what,
yeah.
The kids who really needed it. My wife's a learning support teacher. She had seniors that year. She was on their lawn, like teaching them from the lawn through their screen door. Like she just wanted some of those, because your heart goes out to those kids who school is a safe haven. Some of these kids want to get out of their house, and we don't talk or think about that enough. And some of these kids, like they needed to get out of the house for 7 hours a day and to not have that and to feel like they were in prison in their house. They didn't feel safe. Maybe they didn't have a green screen. They couldn't, who knows what's going on behind them and whether they even had a private space to show their camera. So teachers are yelling, "Oh, show your camera." We're like, yeah, but you don't know what's going on in the background. And I don't want you don't want to know sometimes what's going on, but there's a lot that goes into it. It was rough. I think
kids need socializing.
Yes.
They need
So
socializing.
the coolest thing I did during it before I got burnt out, I found 40 kids who met up with me on Google Meet every day, and we became a tech pack. We called ourselves the Tech Pack, and we was called TPAC, Technology to Promote Academic Collaboration. And these kids were just on Google Meet, ready to help. So like if a kid couldn't sign in and the teacher had no idea how to help them, they just said, "Hey, jump on the TPAC Google Meet. They'll help you out, and then come on back."
That was your own tech department.
And we resolved 375 help desk tickets from teachers, students, parents, taught them how to do stuff. We helped the nurses. Like when we started going back in, we were tracking if the teachers could return if they got COVID. So like the counties were like, sending text messages out, "What's your temperature?" we set up a whole system using the Google Suite tools so that they could send out like a little Google form, and the teacher would put in their stats, and then it would light up green or red if they were good to come back or not. And it just took the nurses, didn't have to know anything about tech. They just had to tell us what they wanted, and we made it happen. And it was awesome. I mean, we did some mind-blowing
Awesome,
stuff.
Jay. Did you ever?
We need to do it at LAUSD, Joel.
Yeah.
We needed him at LAUSD, Los Angeles Unified School District, bro.
Oh,
425,000 students. You would
I can
have helped
imagine.
us out tremendously.
So do you ever do jokes, technology jokes? I'm interested.
So
in
it's
this.
funny.
Yeah.
I do have a few that I tell now in my like A set or whatever that I talk about. I have a few that I talk about where like kids, not being allowed to have cell phones in class, but trying to like, we used to have to look out real windows. These kids get to look out digital windows. Like, that whole concept. And like, I caught a kid resting his Chromebook in class one time.
Yeah.
And I went over to him, and he like, and honest to God, he looked at me. He's like, Mr. Yoder, I've been playing this game all morning long. I'm about to get the high score. Can I just please finish the game? Like that is exactly what he said to me. And I'm like, I went to Catholic school. If I just thought what you said, the nun would have levitated me out of that classroom like she was Darth Vader.
Great.
You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing the difference of these kids. So I use a lot of those, stories, or Chat GPT. I'm working on some new ones with Chat GPT because it's changing the game,
Oh, my God,
Hey, how was his honesty with you?
Yeah.
What's it?
His honesty was good, right? Because he told you what he was doing. He was playing the game, right?
Yeah. So he was being real. I want, like,
Did you let him get the high score?
Did you let him get the high score? Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, no, because I wasn't going to let him beat my high score. Are you kidding me?
That's great. Okay, hold on.
I'm a yummy, 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 yummy gummy bear. I'm a gummy bear. I'm a yummy, 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 yummy gummy bear. Yummy, yummy, yummy gummy bear. I'm a gummy bear. I'm a yummy, 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 yummy gummy bear. I'm a yummy, yummy gummy bear. I'm a gummy bear. I'm a yummy, 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 yummy gummy bear.
I'm a gummy bear. I'm a yummy, 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 yummy gummy bear. I'm a yummy, 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 yummy. I'ma kill myself.
It's actual.
The kid stuff's just gets stuck in your head, man.
Honest, like Baby Shark, it was like
Baby
Shark. Just it's stuck in your head, and I couldn't believe it. I dropped her off at gymnastics, and then the whole ride home, I'm singing it now. I'm like, what is going on? I love that.
Jay, when did you do that TikTok, Jay?
That must have been like 2 Wednesdays ago or something like that. Yeah, that was pretty funny because as it was happening, I'm like, this is hysterical.
Yeah.
When I first Joel and I were talking about you, and I first like popped you up, you were like this. The image of you was like this. I didn't see the stand-up thing or the TikTok thing yet, but it's just like the guy who wants to go to Vegas and his kid doesn't want to go with him because all they eat is broccoli. You see that commercial? Just broccoli, and then the father's going the kid goes, I don't want to go to Vegas with you and mommy no more, daddy, and he's like celebrating, yeah, oh, it's gonna be great. You really don't want to go? Oh, that's
I didn't know that. We'll have to play that.
it's a good.
Reverse psychology.
Okay, so now I want to ask you. Okay, so you decided, hey, I'm going to be a comic, or I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it. Your wife's like, I dare you, get up there and do it. So how did it happen? How did it go for you? Did you just go, or did you prepare? Did you take a class?
I prepared. I wrote. Yeah, I always did act. I was into drama and theater and all of that growing up. Loved it, but this was a singer-songwriter thing. It wasn't. I wasn't being handed a script. I had to produce what I was going to say, and I knew my life is crazy. Like my background, how I grew up, I was like, there's so much to pull from. Yeah. So I said to myself, if you're going to do it once, do it 100 times. And so I set a goal. I wanted to do 100 times in the first year. And during the pandemic, that was a feat because there weren't a ton of opportunities, but I knew I could find 2 mics. So I was like, well, if you can go to 2 mics Monday and Tuesday for 52 weeks, that would be 104 minus, a couple snags. And if you could make that kind of commitment, then like that would be cool. Like that's like you could do that kind of commitment with anything. Then I could apply that to anything else in my life.
That's true.
And I did it. And so not only did I do it, but I did it in like 7 months. And my best friend growing up, made me this statue.
Oh
It's
my
got a goat on the top. It was so adorable. He just sent it to me in the mail.
The
And
goat.
it was just like, it had like a Latin
What does it
phrase on
say?
it. It says
Oh,
like King of
cool.
Comedy, Jay Yoder, completed 100 stand-up circuit with distinction. And then it had like a Latin phrase because I teach Latin too on there. But it was just like, it was just because I was telling him about it. He's one of my childhood friends. You only tell so many people when you're going to
The crowd is going wild. Did you?
Wait.
So you said you teach Latin as well?
I teach Latin, Spanish, French, and German.
In middle school?
And so in elementary and middle, we do like a little buffet in the elementary. So basically, I'm like the fun uncle for all of the 5th and 6th graders. I roll in for 45 minutes a week. I show them the world. I use this tool called Nearpod. I bring in the culture. We'll use Duolingo. I'll find videos of like native speakers, and we'll just do these fun little 45-minute lessons. And then in 7th grade, 7th through 12th, I teach Latin and Spanish. I'm certified K to 12 in Latin and Spanish and technology education. But they needed someone to fill in at the elementary, so I just had to teach myself enough French and German to be dangerous.
I love that you like so commit to this. I mean, it's really amazing, and it's also you're kind of like a genius.
No.
Come on now. How many comedians do you know that teach Latin? Not many.
I know, but I'm passionate here. It's like, I think Einstein, I don't know Einstein, but he has a quote that says, "I'm not a genius. I'm just passionately curious."
Passionately curious. That's such a good thing, because I have noticed that too, that it's all about being curious and being interested. And it's the same with comedy. You can drill down on something. Like I was saying the other day to my wife, you could do a whole routine on leaves if you wanted to. If you just started to really drill down on it, experiences with leaves, what's a leaf? Why does it look like this? Whatever. Why do they turn brown? Why do they die? Who knows? You just keep coming up with things, and then you could build a whole routine. So
it's
a
amazing.
lot of times people think, I only have a finite amount of experience as a human, and I can't write how do these comedians come up with all these things? It's because they get curious, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
That's right. Well, and in the chat, I saw one of the hummingbirds mention that students respond really well to comedy, also memorizing students' names and surprising them with their middle names. I read the names right before COVID, even into COVID. I used to read the names at graduation. And I took that very seriously, like, learning their middle, their confirmation name, like, all of those things. And you're right. And comedy is something I always brought into the classroom. Because you have to engage the kids. They don't want to learn Latin and Spanish all the time. Yeah. So I had to use humor. Sometimes I use dry humor to see if they're still with me. Like I'll say a deadpan, but I'll say something completely ridiculous just to see if their head moves, just to be like, are you with me? Like, or like if a kid's acting up, I'll be like, all right, today we're gonna work on keeping our hands to ourselves and not smacking the kid next to us, and then we're gonna really dive into German today and the accusative, and I'll just throw that little first piece in there just to be like, yeah, I see you. I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing, but I'm gonna let you know I saw you, and I'm just gonna weave that into what I'm doing. In the same way that crowd work, you have somebody, you have to yes and them. You have to improv. You have to keep it in the flow of things and then still get to your destination. These kids are trying to sidetrack me like hecklers all the time with the curriculum.
I'm sure.
And I have to find a way to stay to my set list and still engage them and still let them be a part of the show. And so I think those skills transfer.
They go right together. I mean, they're like the same.
So I've been 18 years of heckling and crowd work. I'd probably be funnier if I could tell more jokes at school. If the curriculum didn't get in the way, I'd probably be even funnier by now.
Probably if it didn't get in the way. What are the audiences like in Philadelphia? I know in LA they're different probably than what they are there.
So
tell me.
There's a lot of really cool indie shows that popped up as a result of the pandemic. So I was just talking with a guy today, Tyler Wolf and Manny Brown are two comics out of Philly, very funny guys. They started a program called Next in Line Comedy, and their whole thing was to find these spaces that restaurants that needed to get people back in the doors. And they are hosting really high-end comedy. People like Emma Willman were like recording parts of their specials there. And so they were really so you have Helium, you have Punchline, you have your two major clubs, you have a casino or two, you have City Winery, but then you have this whole slew, Grape Room and Manayunk. Like there's all these little gems that are like black box or, music venues that now dedicate nights to comedy. And so each room has its own scene and has its own kind of demographic, and that's what's cool. There's a spot for everyone. And my favorite part has been going into all of them and finding a place to tell humor, because as a public school teacher, I'm in front of everybody, so I want my humor to be in front of everyone. And so it's been fun for me because my whole life I felt like a chameleon. I mean, I went to 7 different schools, K to 12. Like I was always making new friends. I was always listening and then adapting and blending in. And that's not changed. I just use that now. And I've made I have like such a big comedy family. It's amazing now. All of the people I've met, like Jay, you mentioned Jay, how we got introduced, like what a sweetheart. And we met through a comedy festival, and we had taken a course together at the American Comedy Institute. And we met up in New York and did a couple mics together. And, I think she's from Kansas, and never would have met her otherwise if it wasn't for the pandemic and being on Zoom, and just amazing people I get to meet and be around. But the Philly comedy scene is diverse, robust, and amazing comedians. So many comedians that it's like to just have 2 clubs that are like your big clubs is a shame, because there's just so much talent that doesn't even get showcased.
All right, let's talk about that in a second here. So I want to talk to you now about technique. Like, how did you start? Basically you worked really hard, but did you have like a framework? Did you have a guru or somebody that was going to help you with that?
So the first thing I did was I read Steven Rosenfield's book, Mastering Stand-Up, and I read a couple others, and then that helped me get some exercises. But my biggest thing was starting from real things. I spent most of my life feeling like I was living in witness protection. I grew up in 90s Scranton, and I was raised by 2 moms, and I wasn't allowed to say that. It wasn't like today. Like my daughter has a guy in her class, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Kyle's 2 dads." I'm like, "You would have never heard me say that." It
was almost like a secret.
Yeah, it was it was my mom's friend or aunt or whatever, depending on whatever the scenario that made everybody comfortable.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to give a thesis every time I met somebody in a small town where that was, so like I have so much of funny instances of things like that I was like, well, let me just stay true to talking about things, be vulnerable, and talk about things that I wasn't allowed to talk about, and how funny breaking that tension can be. And so I enjoy building and breaking tension. I'm also a special needs dad, and my oldest is autistic, and I personally, when we first realized that, had a hard time with that. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't. So I just think about what other people must be going through, and can I break the ice with humor on that?
I love
to
that
make
concept.
Us realize
Can you say that again? You're building tension and then breaking it. That's
building, because we create tension. I feel like we do. Your breathing exercise at the beginning. Why do people smoke cigarettes so much? Because they're trying to get rid of this tension that we're just creating. Our shoulders, like our posture, like we're naturally building tension, but we're not breaking it for ourselves. And we're not giving ourselves permission to be ourselves and to let our light shine. And, we get in our own way with stuff. My mom, God bless her, she was an amazing, both my moms, my other mom has passed away, but my biological mom, she lives with me, and she's still like, she wanted life to be like Norman Rockwell, even though, because that's what her parents wanted for her. And so even though she didn't fit that stencil, she tried so hard to shove herself in that mold, and you never break that tension, then you like malform yourself there. And that's how, for me, comedy is all about picking out those moments and like exaggerating them and making it completely ridiculous to say, what are we really talking about here? Like, honestly, what is happening? Is this really an issue? And I think
that's great. I think sometimes comedians talk about controversial stuff just because it's controversial. But other people might take that approach where they talk about controversial things to set up attention and then break it, make it okay, make it. And that's like a service to people, I think. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of times we're carrying things with us through life and we're doing it silently. And for someone to publicly get up on stage and say, you know what, I'm carrying that too. Yeah. Let's see what we can do with that. Let's see if we can have fun with that.
I've never felt more free. Like, just as a human being in this, I've never felt more comfortable in my skin than I have since I started doing stand-up comedy.
Really? Wow.
It just freed me to say all that stuff. I was lying on the most basic level since I was a little kid about the simplest of things. Who was in my house? I was like, I had to remember, who did I tell? Who was she a friend? Who was she my aunt? How was she my aunt? I had to 23andMe myself. I had to create my own 23andMe to create a family. Because then you had family tree day. Oh, bring in pictures of your family. And you're like, let me go to the dollar store, get all of the families that are in the photos that come with the frame.
No way.
And, you know what I mean? But those kind of things,
right.
Because we didn't realize how diverse families are. And now we're at a place now. I mean, like Modern Family, like that was a show that I'm watching the show thinking, where the hell were you guys 20 years ago? I mean, we were watching, I'd make a joke in my set where I'm like, it was a land before time. Like the only ones allowed to have a gay old time were the Flintstones. All right.
Also, you made a really good point about kids, when they were Zooming, how they might want to show their background. I remember going over to friend's house that I knew from school, and then, something was obviously wrong at the house. There was everything all over the floor, or their parents were hoarders, or maybe now I understand, maybe their parents were like alcoholics or drug addicts or something, and they were putting up this front at school. And
that's where your bullies come from. I firmly believe that's where your bullies come from, the people who need the spotlight off of them, because something tremendous like that's happening at home.
Wow. That's so interesting.
I had a kid growing up. I'll never forget this. I was just talking about this when we would go in his house, which was very rare, we'd only go right in the front door, and they had, coat hangers and stuff. There were paddles hanging from the wall. I was like, it was just like, you just see paddles. I'm like, oh my goodness. My parents never raised a hand to me, but they had equipment. They had special equipment for the occasion. That blew my mind. I'll never forget seeing those paddles hanging on a wall.
Yeah. All right, we're moving along here. Pumpkins are delicious. This is Lunch Therapy, where pumpkins are delicious. So I would like to ask you now about what's happening. So you developed comedy routines. You did it by doing 100 shows in 7 months. Was it difficult to get mics to do for that many mics?
At first it was, but then as I would go to one or two and people would see me there, they're like, hey, you just hear other comics talking. And I'd be like, oh, there's something on Wednesday night at Bar 13. Oh, okay. And so gradually once I realized it was, it was a thing, and I really, you get an itch. It's like, I can't, if I don't perform now, it's like, I go out 7 days a week now, and sometimes
you
on
go
Sundays,
out 7 days a week. Wow.
Yeah, I go out 7 days. Now my 7th day has turned into a podcast I started with a buddy, another comedian.
Tell us about that.
It's called Seriously Dad, and it's just about us being dads and also comedians. Yeah. And so we invite other dad comedians on, and we just kind of talk about whatever. We have an episode with Joe Matarese coming out this Sunday, and we're just talking, his episode's cool because he's talking about his 15-year-old kid and how different his new special coming out is about his bedroom versus his 15-year-old son's bedroom, and just talking about the differences and bonding with the kid that's 15 versus how he bonded with his dad, 30 years ago.
That's so
but I go out 7 nights a week, and sometimes I can fit in two mics a night. I run a couple in my hometown on Wednesday and Thursday, and then there's something every night of the week. It's amazing. And it's cool. You have to drive a little bit. I have a Prius though, so it's like the gas isn't crazy, and we're able to make it happen. My wife's a saint. She's fully.
I was going to say, how is she with you going out every single night?
Yeah, well, with us being in the same house together for the pandemic, we were like, you know what, we've had enough of each other. No, but she comes with me. Like we make it a date night, so at least one of those nights a week, she comes with me. My mom's here. Sometimes we'll get it. Like tonight, we get a babysitter because she's going to come down to the show with me. So, we make it work. We've got enough kids in our area that can babysit and help when grandma's got bingo night and all of that stuff, and we make it work. Google Calendar is amazing. And I put things in there when I get them. She approves them or denies them, and we just have a nice system of how to make it work. And sometimes I push the limits. Like I'll go to a mic and I'm like, "Oh, there's another mic here,"
Right,
and she'll see me on my iPhone. She's like, "Really, bar 13?" And I'm like, I got
You're
this
like an
new
addict.
bit. I gotta work it. I just it's like, but yeah,
How is
It
she's
feels good,
School-
right, Jay? It feels good
Oh,
to get out
that's
every
good.
night. 'Cause it's like going to school every day with your kids, right?
it's so important. And it's like I was on a baseball field when I coached baseball.
Yeah.
I was on a baseball field from 2 p.m. to like maybe I wouldn't get home till 8 or 9 at night if we had a night game. And like I did that for almost no pay for 18 years. And now I'm home every day to get the girls off the bus, take them to gymnastics, dinner, and then it's dinner time. Boom. I'm home now more than I was when I was coaching baseball. But it doesn't, the optics don't look that way to people when you're posting on social media and they see where you're at. But I'm like, I'm home more now than I've ever been. And it's great.
How is the school with it? Because I've had teachers say in LA,
I was
teachers,
nervous.
like, had a
I
hard
was
time.
nervous.
Yeah.
I went by Jay. My first name's actually Jonathan in folks thing. So I went by Jay. Yoder's a good Amish name. So I was like the Smith of the Amish. I'm like, well, I'll just put that on the list because my first initial is Jay, my initial. So I'm like, I put that on. And then now I'm like, you know what? It's fine. The superintendent came to one of my shows last week. I did a fundraiser for the school. I work clean.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a clean comic. I mean, sometimes I'll drop a word in there, but I never need it. I can always take it out. It's like sometimes it's that crutch, but I work clean. So it's like I don't really have to worry about it. I am nervous because like I had kids ask me the other day, I had one of my fifth graders like, Mr. Yoder, are you a comedian? I'm like, nope,
sure.
Moving on. But like,
No,
I don't
there's a
know
guy
how
out there with my name, but that's not me.
Oh,
He looks like
I'll
me
be
too.
on it, but now I'm on a bill. I was on a billboard on 422, which is our like major highway the other week for Soul Joel for the nightcap show he's letting me do, and it's just like so now the cat's out of the bag.
Can't escape. Can't escape. As long as they're supportive of it,
and I'm proud of what I'm doing. I'm proud of what I'm doing.
And it's what a great. It's so smart to work clean, whether you're a teacher or not, because you can use it in any situation. You can get hired that way. You get hired much more easily. If you work clean. Maybe it's a little harder because sometimes because sometimes dropping F-bombs makes people laugh or whatever just because of the shock.
Yeah,
of it.
You don't have to fucking do that.
But it gets so old after a while, I sometimes I'll do a show and there'll be like a bunch of comedians and everyone will say the same ass joke. You know what I mean? It's just, and after a while you're like, come on, are we always going to be talking about asses?
Well, and even in those clubs where it's like those kind of style, it's like a breath of fresh air when somebody can get up there and do that and not be dirty. And I get a lot of compliments on that. And I wasn't even writing teacher stuff at first. Like I wanted nothing to do with teaching. When I tell you I was burnt out from the one thing I thought I was meant to do on this earth, like it broke my heart how I felt about education after how hard I worked for my school district. And I needed to get away. I needed recess. I needed to step away. So I didn't even write about teacher stuff at first. I just wrote about myself and my daughters and it's like the other part of my story is my biological dad, who wasn't a part of my life for a while. He's gay too. So even if I went to I'm the only straight person in my family.
That's great.
And my mom's brother's gay. So I was like, so I have this whole how do I learn how to be a man from my lesbian mothers, my gay dad, or my gay uncle? Who am I? You were talking about not being handy earlier.
Yeah.
I'm like, I was like, my mom's more handy than I am. So
Definitely
she's
your
the one
lesbian
out putting
mother.
in the, so learning about, am I a good dad? What does it mean to be I'm like looking at like Danny Tanner versus Al Bundy. Like I had to use TV to teach me so I love that whole navigating parenting. And I think that's what my podcast was about too. So I want to be honest. I'm like, listen, I don't know. And I think other people don't know and they're afraid to say
How
they
would
don't know.
you know? Really? I mean, even you, somebody that deals with kids all the time, Yeah. It's like,
because you got to make judgment calls. There's moments when you have to make a judgment call.
Can you tell us a little bit about this board teachers?
Oh, what a great opportunity that's been. So
I'm going to bring Bloss on too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Taking,
they do an amazing job with like helping create content for teachers
mhm.
who just need to feel heard.
Oh,
And so it's just an opportunity to like have a bunch of other educators talk about all of the things that we think and we experience, but just break that tension. Right?
mhm.
It's just like talk. We've all been in the meetings where you're like, is this really happening right now? And it's just a way, it's a night to get away from it. It's a night to just release the valve, right? Because we're, as educators, we're getting burnt out and we need to laugh. And they have something every day. There's reels on social media. There's a ton of podcasts. They have like Teacher Off Duty is one that's like killing it right now. Crying in My Car with Devin Seabold and James John, killing it right now. So there's
Crying in
all
my
of
car.
these all of the yeah,
Oh
like
my
all of
God.
these amazing
I've
content
never
there.
done
Like
that.
I
I've
love
it's
this.
so
never
like, and
done.
then they have memes, they have articles, they have
Yeah.
now we have two comedy tours going on. We have the teachers do stand up, which is the new club style, or we're going to the Heliums and the
Yeah.
Funny
I
Bones
saw that.
around, and then there's the theater tour, which is the We Can't Make This Stuff Up tour,
Mhm.
and it's just amazing. What a production!
Is
The
it is it a,
the
is it a this is a local
No,
website?
no,
I mean,
this is national.
National.
This is
yeah.
national and even
So any
international.
teachers can participate. Is that what it is, or
Well,
teachers
no,
who
I
do
mean
stand up, or
they have
it's
their
just?
content creators. They
They
have
have to
like
Oh,
be
I see
their
what you're saying.
chosen.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
Look
yeah.
at that.
They're usually people who have been doing reels and social media presence,
Right.
and then stand up comedians. I mean, like we're all stand ups. I mean, club stand ups. So it's not like it's been really
Is it
amazing. So
is it educational based though, or it
no,
just doesn't matter? Oh, okay.
this is just
They just happen to be
comedy.
they happen to be teachers
We
and they're
got
doing
tons of
comedy. And
stories about being teachers, being parents, and it's even funny for the
Right,
spouses. Like, and anybody who's you don't have to be in education to enjoy it because we all went
right.
to school, we all had teachers,
yeah.
right? And it breaks down some of those walls. I mean, I've gotten some of the best compliments from people who aren't even teachers and weren't there with teachers.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's some really. I mean, Jared Waters is amazing. Orlando Baxter, Mike
Yeah.
Rivera has been
It
doing it
was Jay. You
forever.
just passed Jay's
Liz
picture.
Blanc is amazing. Well, I don't know
There
if
it
you
is.
know her on the West Coast. Liz Blanc is awesome. Leslie
Cool.
Robb. Yeah, so I'm so excited to be included with that cast. We
So
just had our
Joel
awesome.
kickoff
Marshall.
meeting.
Joel Marshall's
Joel
not a
Marshall.
teacher. He's not a teacher though.
Unlicensed
He's
therapy
an
with
unlicensed
humor.
teacher.
Yeah, so I'm so excited to be a part of it. I just
Yeah.
joined this year, so I did some shows in the spring that went really well.
So cool.
And for me, it was cool because I was doing shows in 3,000 seat theaters.
Do you ever think? Do you ever think that you want to maybe start doing like hosting events at schools or doing like
I'd be
awards
open.
events for
PD
teachers and
sessions.
corporate
I think
events, things like that?
Yeah, I would love. I think there's. I did a couple where people asked me to come in during like their break in between sessions,
Yeah.
and I would love that because I have so much to offer as an educator.
Yeah.
And I just happen to also be very funny. You know what I mean? Like, but I have
Yeah.
so much about pedagogy. I have 3 master's degrees. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm overly educated, and I have
Jeez.
so
you
much
mean
information.
So
What's that?
hosting events for the board teachers, or you mean host
No,
like
I
Well,
mean him
just
doing
just in
him
general.
no being
just in
hired,
schools?
being hired
Yeah,
to go to schools or to corporate settings
Yeah,
and
and I
use
know
his
a lot.
teaching skills
do
and
that.
his comedy skills together.
have you been on tour yet, Jay? Have you done
What's that?
the college tours, or have you done the
No,
corporate?
no. This is
Oh
all
yeah,
He's got-
'cause
it's
you
wide
can
open
just
for
tell, you
you.
can just
It's
tell he's
wide
got
open.
the right.
Yeah. Just
He's
keep
got
going down
absolutely,
that.
he's got the
Keep
right
going down that
Yeah.
path.
I'll
What do
just
you-
follow the
Style.
tuning fork.
What do you?
The tuning fork.
Is that the way you go? Would you have a goal? Any goals that you set, or do you do anything
So
like
I
that?
always do set goals because it's
Yeah.
funny. Like it started with the 100 mics, and then I even keep sort of like on my phone. I have like a little vision board of like items and like things like whether it's just good things of my own mental health, but also stand up goals. So like my goals were stuff like to perform in major clubs, but now I just been checking that off. Like now I'm at Helium this whole week. We did a sold out show last night. You know, do a large theater. I've done 7 of those in the last 2 months. So it's like now I'm at a level now where I'm like, wow, I got to start setting new goals. I mean, I would love to have a sitcom. I would love to develop a sitcom about my life. I mean, nobody's grown up like me and then gone on to raise an autistic daughter and, you know, have a hetero relationship after only ever seeing, you know, like I think there's just so much being a teacher.
I was visioning your story already.
It's like, I mean, it's
you know, like as a book or a film or a TV show. I mean,
cool. I mean, it amazes me, and I
family, autistic child, a teacher. I mean, there's a.
And I'm spinning all these.
Your life is very unique and very.
It's so crazy, and I wouldn't change it, and I don't know how you could ever duplicate it, but I'm so grateful for it, and I don't know that I always felt that way. Until, you know, the last few years, you know, I'm blessed to have my family and so grateful to be a father. That was my goal. I mean, I wanted to be the father that I didn't have. I wanted to, you know, do some of those things. And now my dad and I actually, he's married to a guy in Spain named Luis. They've been married for 20 years now over there. We have a relationship. I took the girls over and we stayed with them for a month last summer. So
awesome. So
it just sounds like summer's off, man.
You know how they say like coming into your own or finding your voice or whatever. This sounds like exactly what you're doing. Just stay stay 1 foot in front of the other and make your goals. I'm sure you'll
put my head down and keep moving.
But
and
along the way, this is it. This is life. This is fun. It's so great to see.
These are and the goals you're setting for yourself too. They're you can't be any better. You know what I mean?
And I don't know. And I think anybody else. Well, and everybody who sets a goal, you realize once you set a goal, even if it's putting in your little calendar, I'd love to host an open mic by this date. And then all of a sudden, anytime I did that, that ding would come up and I'm like, oh, I've hosted 15 by now. You know, I just started, like, you know what I mean? Like the minute you
happens,
do that,
doesn't it? Like you're like, I set this goal, and you're like, wait a minute, I did that already.
Law of attraction.
Isn't that weird how that happens? Because people think you have to set a goal and just always keep it in your mind and just relentlessly go after it like a dog with a bone. But I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think you have to say, I would like this to happen. And maybe it could be very specific. We had Carrie Ockrey on the show and she was saying, I'd like to record a song in Madrid with some Spanish musicians, you know, like something specific, really specific. And like, then it happens, you know? So that's cool. And you kind of see you see things kind of falling in line with that. And you're like, oh, look at that. That's interesting. Yeah,
well, that's when I have a kid in class today, and that we were doing something in German or whatever. They're like, oh, like I'm just no good at this, and I'm like, or I'm going to be bad at this. I'm like, you know, if you aim at nothing, you're sure to hit it. Like I'm like, you know, if you put that mental thing out there, like you can't do it, then you're gonna be right either way. So you decide you're gonna be right either way. And that's
saying it. You're gonna
get in your own way. Yeah, exactly. Like, I tell them like. I had a bit where I had a part of my life where I got a motorcycle because I thought I was going to be cool and that was going to make me a man. And so I got a Harley or whatever. And they teach you, I was still mortified of driving it, but they teach you to like, wherever you look, you're going to go. So if you're fixated on that tree, guess where you're going? You're going to that tree. And that's that same mentality. If you're convinced you're going to fail this, you're going to fail it because that's what you're fixated
number one rule on motorbike riding.
What is that?
You're looking at it going there,
wherever you're looking, you're going.
You know when you're tired and you're riding at night and you see headlights and you're just kind of going towards the headlights on a bike, like it's like one of the number one rules. If you're looking at it, you're going at it.
Hilarious.
Yep. And so and I think that applies here. You know what I mean? I think that applies to that, like your goals. If you have a specific goal, guess what? You're going to go that way. And, you know, I saw some other things. If you're going to dedicate even 15 minutes to something every day, you're probably going to be better than 95% of the other people out there. And that's how I treated comedy. I was like, hey, set an egg timer. Set an egg timer and write bits out and just, you know, get around the people who do what you see that you want to do. And that's one of the first things one of the books told me. Go talk to a comedian. So I went up to Soul Joel's at one of the open micers that I really liked, that I thought was like a really good comic, and just said to him, oh, how often do you get up? And I just would talk to him in the parking lot. And that I just started doing that. And I was just like, let me be around the people that I'm looking up to.
Yeah, and you can too. The thing about comedians is they're everywhere. I heard you telling a story about Louis C.K. seeing him in one of these clubs.
Oh, he came at Soul Joel's and I was working and like he walked by me and like acknowledged my existence and I couldn't even talk
Really?
like
Yeah.
that was like because that was the comedian that when he tells the stories about his kids like I laugh
Yeah.
so hard
Yeah.
because he's that great
Yeah.
tension and I'm
Mhm.
just like I love that. So just getting to be in his presence as his like the bodyguard or just the security was just so cool. And watching him like get a kick out of whoever was on stage laughing and being that behind like
Wow,
yeah
that's
it's
cool.
special.
And he's cool like that too, right? You're just hanging, you're just
Yeah,
there.
he was great. He was
right?
just sitting
And
on the
he's not a
side.
jerk. He's just a stand-up comedian doing his
He's
thing.
really
know.
interesting now. I saw a thing about him, an interview with him recently, and he's kind of like, yeah, I got to this place where I had my ego was so big, and I thought needed to show everybody everything, and I got knocked down really hard. But now he's like, it feels like he like has learned some lessons from that, and has his own privacy, but also has gotten I think like what we were talking about before, very interested and very engaged in the world, and so he's got really interesting comedy at this point.
Yeah, I love when he came back from
He's
that.
always
and
been
he
a
was-
very, very, very great comic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now
Well,
he's got
when
a
he-
different perspective, which means he's going to write, that new
It's
perspective.
interesting. Yeah.
that whole bit of like, oh, Obama knows my thing now. Like when he
I
finally
remember
found
him
a
saying-
way.
I
to,
was
like,
mad. I got to tell you, I was mad at him, and I know somebody who was affected by him. So I was like, screw that guy, get him out of here. But I've been listening to him lately, and it feels like maybe he changed in some way. He had a
Well,
transformation.
and John Mulaney.
Maybe
Did
he
you watch?
evolved. Yeah, maybe he.
Did you watch the John
takes
Mulaney one?
accountability.
I did.
He
I
took,
did.
Isn't that
took
great?
accountability and
That's-
we
that's
have
a
to be
perfect
able. We have
example.
to be willing for people to change. You know what? We make mistakes, and some of them are really big, and some of them are horrible. And yes, there are ramifications for these things, but also we have to be willing to allow people to learn and change,
what is
I think
it?
that's
What's it? To,
and share
to,
their experience about it too.
rehabilitate or to redeem themselves or to be able to, you
Make
can't just
redemption, yeah.
ostracize them if they're willing to learn.
I
They're willing
think
to-
I think that's true, and John Mulaney is a perfect example of that. And he came out and did his stand-up show recently. If you haven't seen it, it's really interesting, and it's about
good.
Maybe
drug
Jay.
addiction. Yeah, and the stories are very honest, and I love it. He tells that one story, and he's like, yeah, if you think that's unbelievable, that's the one I'm willing to tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's it.
he's very, very clever, man.
Yeah, he's
Especially the
very
two
clever.
specials before this one,
Nice
after
to
the
see.
pandemic and all that, and he had to
Yeah.
reveal all this, trouble he
Well,
got
and-
into. It's so chaptered, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he stays right with it.
Jose
Well, to your
Salas
point-
says, "Is that a Hobbit
My
house?"
kids-
Yes, it is. What?
We can
Yes.
watch it with my kids, because
Yeah.
he doesn't drop. He only drops bombs
Yeah.
once in a while, but
Well, that's why I
his
think
story-
he had that 11-year-old or whatever that was in the bow. I mean, it's just so funny to have like, I've seen some other specials where there are kids in there like Mike Birbiglia and they work that in because it's good. You want to be able to watch it because I think there's some fun topics to talk about. But I to the point of like rehabilitating, I have a friend of mine who's just a teacher, but a great guy. And he always says like, you got to be willing to fall on the sword and people are always going to forgive you and want best for you. And I think that's human nature. We want to root for people to get better. All those 12 people that he jokes about doing the intervention, like that's amazing. They were people who saw his value, saw the potential and wanted. And so like, I
want him
think we all
better
have
for
to.
him, better for
Well,
him.
and I also think anybody can learn. Anybody can learn from that. Like when you're in denial about something in your life that's just screwing things up for other people, and people stop and say, "Hey, you know what? I really care about you, and I really want to help you out with this, whatever I can do." And people coming together like that it's one of the most beautiful things there is.
They show they care. Yeah.
And that's how teachers should
um,
manage their classes. That's how I manage my class. That's why I have such success with students. They need to know that they're not being like treated like they're always going to be this knucklehead they're being in 5th grade. They need to know that it's that it's okay to be that way. I'll give you a minute and collect yourself and move on, or like we're not going to hold
Treat 'em like
grudges. We're
people.
gonna
Treat
that's
kids
it.
like
Because that's
don't
that's
treat them
it.
like they're beneath anything or that they're
Like
they're
equals,
not going to
yeah.
learn anything or they're not going to evolve. You know what I mean? They got to go through their journey. You know what I mean? And you treat them like people, they act like people.
And we also have to
100%.
treat ourselves like that too. Like one of the things you did was you went out and did 100 mics or whatever. the tendency is to do a few of them and go, I suck. It's like something along the line. Like you gotta suck a bunch of times.
I go back and
you gotta have that same feeling for yourself of like, okay, I did another one, and not get all judgy on yourself.
That's the baseball guy in me, because it's all about plate appearances. Baseball is a game that you could do well 30% of the time and be amazing. If a kid got a 30 in my class, you think his parents are going to go take him out for ice cream? You kidding me?
Right.
Those are Hall of Fame numbers. Okay,
Probably mud.
I think that mentality of baseball carried through for me to say it's just about getting another at bat. Flush that at bat. I heard I forget who said it, but it was on Mike Birbiglia's podcast, and it was a comic who said that they only give themselves to 11 a.m. the next day to either be on cloud 9 or be upset, and then they move on.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that we all need to have, like learn from it, use it, good or bad. But it's like gymnastics. When you watch gymnastics in the Olympics, what do? They cut the best score, they cut the lowest score, because the reality is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I coach, right? I coach basketball. And
cool.
One of my coaching mentors, I use his phrase all the time, and that is, you make a mistake, right, on offense. You miss a shot, or you shoot a brick, or you get blocked, right? You got to get back on defense. You got to have amnesia. Let it go.
They say that about wide receivers too.
Don't beat yourself up over
the best ones forget.
Have amnesia.
Yeah.
When you said 11 a.m., stand-up comics, 11 a.m. comes, yesterday's gone.
Flush it. Yeah, there's some guys in the dugout that used to have like I forget what team, has a little toilet that the players come and just hit the flush button and just say, okay, that's done. Yeah. But sometimes we need a physical thing like that. Sometimes the way we're built, we need something to do. Because I don't know about you guys, but I used to talk terrible to myself.
Oh,
like if I missed a turn, or I was so busy and I'm spinning 100 plates and a few of them drop like they're going to, or I miss a left turn because I'm thinking about something else, and then all of a sudden I would be so mean to myself. And I'm like, why are you talking to yourself like that? Because you're teaching others how to talk to you if you do that too.
Oh,
absolutely.
Dude,
and your body believes it. Your body believes it. You say, I'm stupid.
That is it.
Yes. Yeah. And I talk to myself all the time. My dad used to talk to himself when we were driving. And I'd be looking at him like, who are you talking to? And he goes, just thinking about what I'm going to say when we hit the golf course.
Yeah, words are
and then
powerful.
I myself doing it too, and my kids would be like, hey, you think he's talking to somebody? He's talking to us. He's talking to right? and then, like you say, I miss a turn, and I'm going, come on, Blash, you're better than that. Come on.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, it's creepy,
you're better than that. Better than that sounds pretty good.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm mad at myself.
That was mild. That's what he was willing to tell us.
That's what he's willing to tell us, right? Okay, I'm going to have to end the show because we're over time, but this was super fun. Jay, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, pleasure. I'm so glad this happened. This was such a pleasure.
Me too. I'm so glad it worked out.
Let us know when you're doing things. If you ever come out to Cali, let us know.
But I can't wait. I'm dying to get out there.
The groups that you're involved with, the board teachers. I mean, moving. I mean, you're going to be moving forward and forward. And Joel, he really loves to have people on that, are building. And
he's been so supportive.
Being able to say, we knew Jay. We knew Jay Yoder. He was on the show. Yeah. Joe called him. The dude said, I'll come on the show. And you know what I mean? That we're excited for you, man.
I appreciate that.
Excited
I do want to throw this at you, though, is we got to dance now. In your chair, you're going to just enjoy the song. It's a cover song. It's going to be a nice one it's like a song about being on the road. It's a classic rock song. And so just enjoy this, take it as some inspiration. It's by this guy, Sam Miller. Last week we had Jack the Whipper on, and he absolutely hates Lynyrd Skynyrd's Freebird. And so I played that, and I kind of had to cut it short a little bit because he just hates it. I sort of rickrolled him a little bit. So I'm going to play another song from the same guy that was on there, Sam Miller. So we'll play a little bit of it, and then we'll say goodbye, and thanks so much. Yeah.
Jay, after the song and the show, he closes the show. Stick around for a little bit. We're starting
if you have a moment. He's busy. He's got to go pick up his daughter.
We're doing these after show clips, so if you're not too
I
busy,
know his schedule. He's got to pick up his daughter.
He got to go back to class?
Yeah, and I have to go to the dentist, unfortunately. But anyway, we'll catch up again another time. All right. See you in the dance break.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you.
Hey, if your fans needed to see it live, post the link to Joe Marshall's Lunch Therapy on any of your social media.
Now we're rocking out.
Come see the show anytime, 24 hours.
These guys are good, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a cover band or a band, I don't know. They're in Florida. This is Sam Miller. The band's called No Big Deal. Playing some Bon Jovi, Dead or Alive. That's Sam right there with the guitar. I
They should rock band on this one.
Did you? Oh yeah. It's a good one.
Some say only the names that change and
It's a great song. Come on. It's so
seems
beautiful.
we're
How could you not like
wasting
this?
away.
How could you not like this song?
Another place where the faces are so cold. Drive all night to get back home. I'm a cowboy on a steel horse. I want it.
Yeah.
Dead or alive, and I'm wanted. Dead or alive.
We got great lighting in this show too. I don't know where they are, but it's someplace like on the beach or something.
Yeah. 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Sometimes I sleep. Sometimes it's not for days. The people I meet always go their separate way. At time you tell the day by the bottle that you drink. Time when you're alone, all you do is think. I'm a cowboy.
I want to get to at least the solo. This Sam Miller.
Dead or alive.
There we go. I think this is where it starts. The solo happens, right?
I'm a cowboy on a steel horse I ride.
Volume up, Boney.
All right, it's been Sam Miller, No Big Deal. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Jay.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
being here, Bloss. Thank you, Boney, for all your help in the back
Jay.
there. We'll see you next week on Lunch Therapy.
Thanks, Just Jay. We love you, babe.
Oh yeah, thanks to Just Jay too. Woo!
Just Jay loves Jay.